heaven is like a treasure hidden in the field, which a man found and he hid again. And from joy over it, he goes and he sells all that he has and he buys that field. And again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking fine pearls. And upon finding one of great value, he sells all that he has and he bought it. Now, can you picture this scene in your head? There's a man who's walking through a field, and he stumbles over some hidden treasure that doesn't seem all that quite hidden. And then he takes that hidden treasure, and he takes it and he buries it again. And he goes off and he sells all he has to buy that field so that he can have that treasure. What is the backwards element to this story? I don't know. It's very difficult to find, the first one. But like I said, these paired illustrations, these paired metaphors, the first thing that Jesus says, it's going to be pointing to the second thing he has to say. The second thing is going to be pointing to the first. It's all going to be the same thing. So if we can understand the second one, we're going to be able to understand better the first one. So I sincerely believe that Jesus is saying that these parables are saying the same thing, but it's harder to see the backwards element in this parable as it is to see it in 45 and 46. So let's look at 45 and 46 again. Hey, Will. How are you? Good. Hey, there we go. All right.
Right in here.
Go ahead, you worked in my sermon, but that's okay. 45 and 46. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking fine pearls. And upon finding one of great value, he went and he sold all that he had and he bought it. So there is a merchant who obviously likes pearls, and he's seeking one of great value, and then he finds it. And then he sells everything that he has so that he can buy a pearl? Are you kidding me? It's a pearl. Okay, weirdo. You don't have a house. You don't have a car. You don't have any means of taking care of yourself or your family, but you got the pearl. That's obviously priceless. That's obviously worthless. Because in all actuality, this is what you are seeking. A pearl. And you are trying to find a pearl of great value. You find the pearl of great value that's greater than all the things that you own. Now you are going to then sell the pearl of great value? Now I guess if you could sell the pearl of great value for exceedingly more than what you have, that'd be a pretty good idea. But he's not going to sell the pearl because that is what he's seeking. That is what he's trying to find. So much so that he's willing to put everything else in a distant second to acquire the pearl. So I don't think you're going to sell the pearl. So what's the backwards element? The backwards element is your job is trading pearls. You have nothing, and now you have a pearl. The pearl that you seek is now worthless. I don't know how to describe this. So, any further than to ask you the question, what is the point of these two parables? And like I said, you may come at it from a different perspective than I do, and that's absolutely fine. But when I look at this, I see this very fact. These parables are talking about your preference. What do you prefer? Do you prefer living in a world where God is king, which Jesus will compare to a pearl or a treasure, both of which are priceless? You can't put a dollar amount on them. Or will you choose not to? Now, if I told you that you could have a pearl, I don't have a pearl up here. I wish I did. If I told you that you could have this pearl, and I'll give it to you for everything that you got, and this pearl is worth billions of dollars, would you sell everything that you have in order to buy this billion-dollar pearl? I think that's a pretty good deal, right? Because then you can sell the pearl to somebody else, right? And get much, much more, right? And if you had the option between choosing something or choosing a lifestyle that was based off of $50,000 or $100,000 a year in comparison to a lifestyle that's based off of billions of dollars, which one would you choose? I would choose the $1 billion. I could do a lot more for the kingdom of God if I had $1 billion. But billionaires are the most unhappy people, most unhappiest people in the world. So which one would you choose? What is your preference? And I think that is what the heart of this message is that Jesus is speaking. To neglect everything else, to grasp the kingdom of God, to own the kingdom of God. Or let's say that there's a farm here somewhere in Gibson County that has the world's largest diamond on it. I think the world's largest diamond is like 470 carats, something like that. It's monstrous. Okay, it's a monster diamond. It has the world's largest diamond, and it has 10 billion in gold buried 3 feet somewhere under its surface. Would you not sell everything that you had to purchase that field? I would. Absolutely. Or, let's put it in this perspective. This perspective I like. The Garden of Eden, you all understand this to be the way things were before we messed it up, right? We lived in communion, conversation, and community with God. And we had this awesome relationship which we just kind of frolicked about and didn't really have care in the world and participated with God in this loving relationship. If I told you that you could have that, but it costs you everything that you have, would you buy it? Yes, you would. And that's what the kingdom of God is like. These are awesome deals. These parables are demonstrating these awesome deals that are coming to the common person. And of course, if it came to the common person, that'd be a no-brainer, right? We choose some things like that. But why would we choose that? Because that's what we prefer. And some might say that we don't have awesome deals like that every day. That winning lottery tickets that just kind of waft in our hand, right? We don't have deals like that. Yes, we do. That's the beautiful thing about it. We do have deals like this every single day. But they aren't so materialistic. They aren't so focused on money. They actually are about sacrificing time, talent, money, so that you can participate and be a part of the way and working of God's kingdom. The kingdom of God, living in a world where God is king, is a choice. You can prefer it or you cannot. But you have to understand that the person who prefers it is the person who understands that it's priceless. That in comparison to everything else in the world, everything else is worthless in comparison to what the kingdom of God is like. The cool thing is that Jesus gives us this opportunity, this choice to participate in the kingdom of God. So, when I look at these parables, and I look at the way Jesus taught, the kingdom of God is not just this idea of this far distant place that's in the future, that's eternal, that's what happens after you die. It is this thing. But it is also the here and the now. The kingdom of God exists in the community and the body of believers. People who agree with one mind that yes, I live in a world where God is king. And in a world where God is king, people are shown love, grace, mercy, justice, equality. Because when you live in a world where God's king, you are not. And you live in service to one another. So the kingdom of God is very much a reality. It is very much attainable. It is accessible. It can be grasped. It can be held. And it's priceless. But it costs you everything that you have. I would live in that world. I do live in that world. And I'll continue to live in that world until that world becomes a wonderful reality that is so heightened on all of my senses, that is so bombarding and so wonderful, that basks in the glory of God, and I get to just be with Him in His creation, in His new earth, His new heaven, in His new city, and everybody has new bodies. It's going to be awesome.